Hello and welcome to another episode of The Chat. I'm Will Peoples with the Chatham County Public Information Office, and today I am joined by special guest Cloe Lamaire, an environmental scientist and program manager for Savannah Riverkeeper. Chloe, how are you? Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's nice and warm outside again today. It keeps the weather keeps playing with us.
It's like slowly working back to it, you know. I told somebody earlier this week that I thought it was false spring. It's the fool's spring, but the spring of deception, as that internet meme says. But yeah. So Chloe, what is Savannah Riverkeeper? Just for the folks who may not be familiar with the organization, what do you guys do for both Savannah and Chatham County as a whole?
Yeah, Savannah Riverkeeper is an environmental nonprofit. Our focus is on protecting and restoring the Savannah River, as simple as that. Also the communities that rely on it. The Savannah River stretches over 300 miles across, the state of Georgia and really bordering the state of South Carolina as well. So we have riverkeepers kind of trickled all up and down the river. Most of our base is up in Augusta, Georgia, closer to the beginning of the river there. And then I was brought on here in Savannah to represent the lower harbor just this past summer.
Oh, cool. That's the section that we're called, the lower harbor?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Lower watershed, lower harbor.
That's cool. Yeah, I grew up in a small town like outskirts of Augusta. I call it like the Effingham of Augusta. And that was the first time I met the Savannah River, I guess, was up there downtown Augusta. So that's cool. That's cool. What's the Augusta section called?
Upper watershed, kind of middle watershed.
Yeah.
There are people a little bit higher, I think in kind of Rabun County, Tallulah Falls area. We've got a couple representatives up there now as well.
That's the Savannah River too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's wild.
I've seen a lot of the Savannah River.
Yeah.
That's cool. Anyway, so what do you do for Savannah Riverkeeper? What's your role there?
Yeah, I do a few different things. I'm managing a few programs right now. Really the theme of all those are reducing pollution in our area and kind of trying to clean up the streets of Savannah and clean up the waters, of course, as well. So one of those programs, starting at the source of plastic and really the source of pollution, because plastic pollution is really one of the biggest feats that we are faced with these days. We recognize here in Savannah that most of the trash that we're pulling out of the water on our cleanups are fast food related or takeout packaging trash. We've had a few different groups come in and do some surveys. UGA came in and did a number of surveys around Savannah and Tybee Island, finding that after smoking products and plastic fragments, which are really the most commonly found litter items everywhere in the world, food packaging is the next most commonly found litter item in this area. And so kind of identifying that as the issue. We also worked with Savannah State on campus too. Over half the litter items that they collected were all food-related packaging items. So stuff that we just, you're using for 4 to 5 seconds to unwrap your sandwich or snack or something, and then it goes into nature and really doesn't come out of there. So we're trying to attack it from 2 angles, really starting at the source and then trying to catch it before it goes into the river. So starting at the source, we are working with Chatham County to build out a reusable foodware system. So exploring this area that's pretty new to us because we are so used to convenience and disposability and just single use in general. So getting into restaurants, getting into businesses, anywhere that really provides cups and to-go-ware at all, talking to them about their issues with waste. A lot of them are recognizing that they're just buying things that they're just then throwing away for their customers. So trying to change, switch up that script a little bit and provide reusable items. Reusable cups is the starting point for this program. Clearly, Savannah being an open container zone, it's huge impact that we could have with cups alone.
Yeah, so this program is called Reuse. So how did that come about? How did you guys get started with that, and how did the partnership come about with Chatham County?
Absolutely, yeah. So Riverkeeper was, we were approached by Perpetual. Perpetual is a national nonprofit. They're working in 3 other cities around the states, similarly building out these local reusable foodware systems. So the 3 other cities are Galveston, Texas, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Hilo, Hawaii. None of them have launched so far, but Hilo, Hawaii is the closest, months away from launching at this point in time. And so what they do is they identify local partners in each of the cities, ideally people that are already in the space of environment or in the space of waste reduction, so lots of zero waste groups. And they work with them to identify the needs of the community. So in Hawaii, they're actually starting with containers like bento boxes and things because that's what the community sees as more of a need for them. Here, cups are kind of the obvious choice for us. And so working through these local partners, we do lots of community engagement, awareness of the issue, in Savannah, a lot of people don't even recognize that plastic pollution is as big of an issue as it is. And so kind of starting from those ground floors up. Through that work, I was connected with Jackie Jackson here at Chatham County, who immediately grabbed onto this idea and loved it and has really been like a star in helping to push this forward, both through the city, the county, really kind of all throughout Chatham County in different ways. She's been really helpful to get me into different rooms and connected with different groups as well.
Yeah, so so let's talk about the reuse program as a whole. So we're focusing on cups. Is it specifically to-go cups from restaurants? Like that's the scope of the project as a whole, or does it extend beyond that? Or are there plans to extend it beyond
that? As it stands now, it's going to be to-go cups. So anywhere that you would be getting a to-go cup, I think focusing on the open container zone is a really smart choice, because a lot of those restaurants or bars you're going into, and they're just assuming you're getting to-go cups, and so they're giving out way more of those cups than they would normally. And so replacing that with some reusable item, those items would have to have some sort of a code attached to it, QR code, RFID, so that they could be tracked, because we're sticking either stainless steel or double-walled polypropylene cups out there. We don't want to lose them, because that's going to take, that's going to cause even more of a mess than the single-use plastics that we have all around anyway. So they need to be trackable. They need to be identifiable to you as a user. But essentially you go in, you get your cup just like you do, you walk around the park, you drink your iced coffee just like you already do, and similar to how there's already bins located around town, there would be collection bins for these reusable items as well. You would do a quick scan on them, drop them in, get your small deposit back for using the item, and then all of those things would stay in the system and then get picked up, cleaned, and returned.
Whoa, that's crazy. So, okay, so like the receptacles, like I don't want to call it a trash can because it's not.
Yeah.
The reuse can, you got to scan the QR code, and then, with like the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, like apertures open, and you just put it in, and it closes up, and then someone comes and collects them, and cleans them out. Wow.
Super futuristic.
Yeah, that's like some sci-fi stuff. That's cool.
It is. It's something that really exists and does really well on kind of closed loop areas, so places in stadiums and venues. They're really good because it's contained.
Yeah.
And so that's Perpetual's mission, is trying to take it beyond these closed loop areas, connecting with the community so that it can be built at scale, so that all of these kind of mom and pop shops can offer it, alongside venues like arenas and convention centers and places that are doing kind of larger volume things. Universities, we have quite a few of those around as well, and so those are a lot of the conversations that we're having now with these kind of larger entities, so that we can bring all of our local restaurants alongside, and they can be offering these sustainable options as well to their customers.
Yeah, I noticed you said that it works best on a closed loop. We're not really that, Is that a big challenge? What are some of the other challenges that you guys face when putting this initiative together?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge one. And I think getting around that, how I see it, is really getting in front of education, talking to people as much as possible, and getting, breaking these kind of consumer behaviors that we are so used to. I see that as really the biggest hindrance to this work, because we are such a convenient-centric society. Taking an extra step to throw something away, or, not, I don't know, these little things are big changes to us mentally, and so that's kind of the biggest challenge I see. Second biggest challenge that I see is kind of financial support for this. So we've applied to grants and funding, and that's what we're very hopeful that we'll get them. We've got a couple in the works with EPA that are really focused on waste reduction. So putting money into places that we are exploring alternatives to waste reduction, not just cleanups and some of these other kind of obvious solutions that are more kind of one-time things, but really building out a program that would support waste reduction all the way down the line.
That's cool. So, so tell me about the cups themselves. So are they like, you said a bunch of long words that I didn't really recognize. What is the material they're made of?
It's actually up in the air right now. So that's part of the reason that we are doing this, community awareness, or community engagement, excuse me. The options are either stainless steel, kind of like you get your Yeti cups.
I know those words.
Yes, yes. The other option, as it stands now, is a polypropylene. So classic plastic, but those thicker walled plastics that they're not supposed to be thrown away. They can be used a few more times.
No, I gotcha.
So really kind of the difference is what I don't know, what we prefer as a community. There's also a few things to keep in mind with ordinances around the city, particularly in the open container zone.
Yeah.
You're only allowed to have things in plastic, and so maybe in that zone we need to keep things to plastic. But as right now the locals really prefer stainless steel, just in my outreach. Seems like the better option. We're getting away from plastics. We know there's lots of issues associated with plastics, chemicals of concerns, and these things that are only coming out now that we barely understand. So I think that's kind of the lean towards stainless steel.
Yeah, so in terms of, I don't want to call it buy-in, but it is buy-in, I guess. Are other, like you have to go to each restaurant, each place that does this. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of man hours.
It is, yeah, it is right now. And we're really, a small team right now in Savannah. It's helpful to have Chatham County behind us and really the recycling division and some of these other kind of groups to help get me into those rooms. But that's kind of my job now, is kind of growing my network, bringing some volunteers on to help with that this summer and really getting in door to door to restaurants. Some of that has happened, but we definitely need to make a larger push on that end.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, it's just time. Yeah.
So, I'm guessing there's not like a set start date for this. Is there any planned timeline in terms of when we could start seeing these cups out in the wild?
Yeah, I mean, assuming, fingers crossed, we get this really awesome EPA grant. Yeah, always. We'll find out about that in July, and we would be awarded it at the end of the year this year.
Whoa.
And then I think it would be about 6 to 8 months before launching, if all of that is good to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, here's hoping.
So still a good amount of time, but I like that. That gives me and my team more time to get out into those restaurants, and then also just continue to meet with the community and gauge their interest and awareness, and do some pilots and things like that potentially to kind of test people. Like, I'm really thinking about days like St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
How are we going to handle something like this on scale? And so maybe we can have some teasers leading up to that to kind of gauge locals and tourists, because that's another kind of challenge, is tourists are going to see this very different than locals will.
That's very true. Free souvenir cup.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I guess for you, how does it feel to be involved with a project like this? Because I don't know, is this your first big project? Like, this is the one?
Yeah.
So like, what's it like? What's the experience been?
This
like,
has been. My background is in environmental science. I came here to Savannah State to study oysters and water chemistry, actually. And so it's a little bit of a left turn for me, but I found through that work that I really loved talking to the community and kind of taking things that might be challenging concepts, science things, and trickling them down to the community. Kind of that science communication was something that I found that I really liked. And so I like tackling this issue of plastic, which I do see as like one of the top 3 issues that we are facing right now, and that we can make changes to today. Something that, the little things that we're doing every day are slowly helping to solve that problem. And so I feel good on that front. It's really great.
That's awesome. You're doing it,
Yeah,
it's like putting it into practice. That's cool. So what else have you got up your sleeve, I guess? What's happening with Riverkeeper other than the reuse program?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is really just one part of a 2-pronged approach that we are taking here in Savannah and along the whole river. So starting with upstream solutions, as we call them, for the reusable foodware system. So reducing plastic production at the source is the goal of that work. Flowing down the stream, down the river there, we want to catch those plastics that are already out there in the environment before they get out into the river. And so working with City of Savannah and another contractor called Osprey Initiative, we are putting in a total of 8 litter traps, and actually 9, because we're hoping to put one on Savannah State campus as well. So 8 litter traps. What they are basically a bunch of buoys stringed together, but and engineered very nicely by this Osprey. I'm explaining them terribly, but they're really amazing, really strong, robust to storms and things like that. But they essentially sit in the water and just provide a barrier so that things that are flowing down don't get past that certain point. And so once a month they will be cleaned. We actually collect data on all that trash, which I think is super cool, of like taking the trash out, breaking it down by type, plastics and papers and styrofoams and different things. Also calling out certain brands that are kind of the biggest brands that we're seeing at each of the locations. And then additionally, we also take some data on how degraded those materials are. And ultimately all those get categorized and grouped together. Osprey kind of does some of that data analysis, but we have 4 traps that are already in on the Vernon River here around Savannah. And just last year, they brought in a total of 4,000 pounds of trash with 4 of them. So I'm really excited to see the potential of these 8 new traps.
That's so much. That's
huge.
Do we have data on those traps?
No, not yet. So they're not in the water yet. They will be in the water in about a month.
Oh, gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah. Oh, no, that's awesome. So, I don't know. At the end of the podcast, I always, regardless of who the guest is, I always like to kind of give people a call to action, give people a way that they can help out if they're interested in helping out, whatever cause it happens to be that someone is talking about on the show. But what can people do? You know, is there a list of things that they can do that have an immediate impact on, you know, the amount of litter, the amount of trash, the amount of non-recyclable stuff? What is your advice to folks at home?
Absolutely. So kind of like I said a few minutes ago, I'm really a big advocate of little changes, the little things that you can do. And those look different for everybody. We don't all have access to, you know, alternatives to plastics, but in places that you do, you can make small swaps. I encourage you to make those swaps. Grab your reusable bag, grab your reusable water bottles. Those are kind of the easier ones. There's some other really cool ones that exist out there now, like reusable dryer balls, and my favorite one is produce bags, because I hate those little flimsy produce bags that you get at the grocery store. So, like, you know, those little things are simple choices to make. Think about your eating habits too. Takeout food alone is such a waste producing process that something that my eyes are really open to, you know, taking this job. And then my last one is, if you are going out to restaurants, especially your coffee shops, because a lot of coffee shops around here will give you discounts, bring your reusable cup. Already bring them. You can make those choices yourself. Keep doing those things until we have this system in place so that you don't have to remember to bring the cup, because I think that would be the beauty of this reusable foodware system, is that even me being the eco advocate that I am, I consistently forget to bring my cup places. And so going someplace and having a choice to make right there in front of you makes that so much easier.
I didn't know this, but I do have a prop today.
Ooh, yes.
It's a cup from a local coffee shop who I'm not promoting.
Those are my favorite thermoses.
Yeah, they're so awesome.
So nice.
Like, if I was to keep that lid closed, it'd be hot until tomorrow morning.
It's actually
crazy.
Dangerously hot how it stays in there.
Yeah.
I guess one more thing to plug the system, you can do our survey. Also, we really need some.
Please, yes.
Yeah, we also really need some input on our survey. All of that is data that feeds into it. You can talk about your cup, you know, it's asking questions about cup preferences, checkout models, where these bins are located. I'm not sure when this comes out, but we are hosting some community workshops just this weekend. So tomorrow and Saturday, which Chatham County is already promoting on all the websites and things too. So I'm sure we'll get some good feedback there. But definitely do the survey, because it's basically a virtual version of our workshop.
And we will put that survey in the description of this podcast,
Sweet.
no matter where you're listening to it or watching it. But again, Chloe, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. This was a great show. I learned a lot about trash and plastic. I feel guilty, but it's the good kind of guilty. You know? So, yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. And until next time, thank you for watching the chat, and have a good day.
Thank you.